Apple to forever, making life better and better. Apple to forever and ever, bringing the rainbow to you.
Greetings, Apple Land. I'm Brian Weiser with Call Apple, otherwise known as Apple Puget Sound Program Library Exchange. This is probably the 11th year I've given you an update of what Bill Martens and I are producing at that user group. And I've got a lot to go through with limited time, so I'll try to be quick and clear. You probably know about our callapple.org website, where we focus on all the retro goodness in Apple land. We were founded in 1978. Our base level membership of $27.95 has been that price for a number of years. We also have a donate option if you want to support our efforts in a different way. We offer a monthly magazine, third-party user group discounts, and an exclusive member library. We do have a Discord channel for our members that's been around for a few years. And that's a current magazine cover from the last couple of months preparing for this KansasFest. We continue to make available our 40th anniversary PDF for free download, so you can get a feel for what our monthly magazine is like. That's usually well over 50 pages. And all of our legacy issues are online for members as well. And our different websites, we of course run many different websites besides Call Apple. We have applearchives.com, which has been online for a couple decades, collecting a lot of links and resources and vendors and so forth. MECC, Applied Engineering, and the Beagle Bros repository, among others. And I wanted to put emphasis on that because last year we actually helped out the original creator of Vintage is the New Old, VITNO, who wanted to move on with his life and do other things. And so we took over the VITNO website. We registered a new domain, vitno.org, which is now the new official location. This site started in 2011 and covers all sorts of different platforms, the Sinclair, Commodore, Amiga, PC, hopefully some Atari in there somewhere for somebody. At any rate, that website is available, maintained by volunteers, and we also have a donation page on there if you want to support those efforts. And we're very proud to be helping out in that different way as well. And I wanted to talk a little bit more about our store that we launched a few years ago and show you a little bit more about what specifically is offered there. We've of course expanded that over the years with t-shirts, posters, mugs, and so forth. This is what the landing page looks like on our store, where you can see some of the different categories. A little ad I made. Sorry, no droids. These are the t-shirts you're looking for. Obviously a Star Wars parody there. And these two particular graphics I remastered from some serious software art. These are vectors, fully cleaned up, so they print very nicely and sharply. And we've got a Penguin t-shirt with the remastered Penguin logo. Applied Engineering, good old Ask Uncle Louie from Beagle Bros, and Ron Wayne's Apple computer logo. And how some of that artwork looks on mugs. And here's the remastered Beagle Bros logo on a laptop sleeve, along with the famous flyer of theirs. And we also offer several software packages for sale to support the authors that way, like the new Space Intruder 2 and Dodgems, and the wonderful keycaps font that was created. We're adding things all the time, so feel free to check out our store. There's some of the different Call Apple artwork that appeared in some of the early magazines too. And next, a very big section, I want to talk about books. Apparently last year we had a conversation with Karnak the Magnificent, knowing that this year would be the year of the Apple IIc at KansasFest. So last year we proactively released the Apple IIc Technical Reference Manual, second edition, available in paperback and hardback, over 700 pages, as an awesome reference. And now we thought we'd break into some new territory with our first audiobook.
17, 960, 18, 984, 20,008. That's 20,008.
Yes.
21, 032, 22, 056.
Well, actually, no, we're not breaking into the audiobook market because we truly do not want to put people to sleep. Instead, oh my goodness, understanding the Apple IIe, the enhanced edition, a long time coming enhanced edition. This book, originally released in 1985 from Jim Sather. This is the definitive source about how the Apple IIe works. It's a very technical book, approaching users on a number of different levels. This new enhanced edition is over 450 pages, and it has been fully remastered with updated text, layout, printed in color on the inside, and it has over 120 technical illustrations as well. There's a foreword from Steve Wozniak, written when it was originally produced. And I'm going to go through the entire book, chapter by chapter, briefly. But I want to talk a little bit about this cover first. So when I remaster a book, I really want to honor the original book as much as possible in every way possible while bringing things up to modern standards. So with this cover, that blue is from the original shade of blue on the original Understanding the IIe book, and the transition to the darker orange at the bottom is reminiscent of the color from the previous book Jim released, Understanding the Apple II. So I wanted to honor the book with the colors and also prominently feature the original artwork that appeared on that cover. And just for comparison, that's what the original cover in 1985 looked like. So it's a little different, but still feels like the original. And there's a preface that Jim wrote in 1985. And I actually had a chance to chat with Jim recently about this remastered edition and give him some updates. And he did tell me that he found it highly gratifying that the book is so well thought of, which is one of the reasons why we really wanted to make it available for people. Starting with Chapter 1, an Apple IIe overview, talking about the microprocessor, bus structure, and other overview topics. And there's Chapter 2, focusing on the bus structure and three-state logic. And there is one of the approximately 30 recreated illustrations. Starting a couple of years ago, at an early stage in the project, Gary Graham generously volunteered and recreated over 30 original illustrations and probably around 50 preliminary tables, and those have been very helpful. There's another one of his recreated illustrations of the motherboard at the top of the chapter there. And Chapter 3, Timing Generation and Video Scanner. As long as I'm mentioning people, I probably should mention the other people that have volunteered and helped with this project. Henry Corbus has been an invaluable champion of the cause. A couple of years ago when this started, Forrest Lowe and Antoine Vignow have spent an enormous amount of time as well proofreading and giving technical feedback, and they've also been providing those same services to us through the renewed efforts recently getting this finished. And the audio you heard from Bill at the beginning is no joke, but that's just demonstrates the kind of effort that Bill Martens and I go through to make sure that every little detail is verified. That was when we were verifying table data of the many tables in the book to make sure those are all accurate. And then personally, beyond everyone else's invaluable contributions, I've personally probably spent well over 600 hours just in the last couple of months to get this book done and finished so it could actually be available for people with the design and editing and so forth. Chapter 4 covers the 6502 microprocessor, and there's one of those long fun tables I was just talking about. Chapter 5 discusses RAM and memory management, and there were probably about 80 or so figures that we scanned, and those have all been cleaned up. This one, I colorized that original scan to make it a little more fun and useful. Chapter 6 discusses ROM, or firmware, in the Apple, and this is a section that Bill and I expanded to go into more detail on the Apple IIe enhancement kit that was just in a beta stage when Jim released this book originally. And we've also expanded this chapter to cover the Platinum Apple IIe and more detail on the international models. Next is input and output, and a very nice diagram of the keyboard encoder. A paddle reading routine from Jim there, and also a diagram of the auxiliary slot connections. A chapter on video generation and display map data formats. And one of the fun tables. Yeah, when I was trying to colorize those, I thought that some nice shades of blue and gray would be very pleasing to the eye. It's really quite exciting to have the access to color on the inside in books now. There's a screenshot from Jim's program, which is a basic listing for high-res 80 sine waves. A chapter on the disk controller and the disk 2 controller schematic. And lastly, a chapter on maintenance and care, all the things to do when your Apple breaks. Like take it to your dealer. That was one of the things that was in here. Firmware diagnostics and so forth. An appendix on the 6502 as well as the 65C02, which is fully represented throughout each of the chapters. Data sheets from the NCR 65C02 and Rockwell with more pages than were offered originally. A logic circuits primer, a number system primer, revisional information such as Apple IIe jumper pad functions, differences between the Apple II and Apple IIe discussed for each chapter's focus, and also a glossary. And again, this book is available now, paperback, hardback, and coil, and our carrier pigeons are standing by. And this should look familiar, the WASPAC Special Edition. This is actually the first book that I remastered with Bill Martens in 2013. The WASPAC is considered to be the first official technical manual for the Apple II, with materials provided to the A.P.P.L.E user group from Apple and WAS. And in 2013, we added 7 forwards from people like WAS and Randy Wigginton, and did massive cleanup and stayed as true to the spirit of the original as we could, with 6 months of intensive restoration of those original photocopied pages. But recently, I guess there's always room for discovery, we happened upon a rare version of the WASPAC with about 30 pages of additional material, WAS's handwritten notes and things that we'd never seen before. So after careful restoration, those have been integrated into this new 3rd edition of our special edition, and also took the opportunity to improve the original organization with grouping of the articles, as well as expanding the table of contents to list all the authors and lists probably twice as many things as were in the original table of contents to fully represent the book. And this is one of the 2 big editions, an assembler article from Woz. It's about 15 pages. Most of it's handwritten. And about 7 pages on keyboard modification, including several handwritten diagrams of things to do. And then just wanted to show you some of the original material that's been there before. If you haven't seen it before, just to give you a feel for it. It is now over 390 pages, and there's also typed sections as well, like this article from Woz and listing. And that 3rd edition is available now. Also, we've released All About Pilot. This is for all fans of the Pilot programming language for computer-aided instruction. It's about 240 pages and has articles and programs designed to help you learn how to program in Pilot and give you a good overview. And just a few samples of those overview articles. Pilot for the Apple, a Pilot tutorial with some simple listings, Pilot to Basic Translator, and deciding which language is best for you, comparing Pilot to other languages. And in the Pilot category, we had an exciting discovery recently too. One of the few software packages we actually did not have a copy of that we originally released was Easy Pilot, and we finally tracked down the disk for that. And so we've released a complete remastered manual and the disk as well, so that's quite exciting for us. Ringobon is now up to version 2 on this exciting RPG-based text game, and the original Ringobon had 90 different game screens, and it's now been expanded with about 931 screens imported from other platforms. You can now save your game, and it's now on an 800K floppy. It's that big. And all of these are available at callapple.org/books, with the apps that go along with those at callapple.org/apps with downloadable disk images. And now it's time for books in progress, because we didn't have time to finish everything for KansasFest. callapple.org/penguin is the home of the Penguin unpublished archives from Mark Pelzarski and Penguin Software Polarware, and wanted to give you some important updates. So, the book I've talked about a few times before is in progress. It's almost finished. The complete, very long name is Penguin Software Comprehended Venture Development System, History, and Graphics Magician Painter 2, which is an accurate representation of the book's contents. I've been working with this since 2019 with Mark. Mark has provided an enormous amount of help on a number of levels, and back then I got his original discs and recovered those, finding programs, source code for a lot of games, some documentation, things that had never been released before that were internal, and so putting together a finished book and a finished product for something that was never really intended for the public has been a daunting task, but it is nearly finished. And here's what the Comprehend chapter looks like. And again, this adventure development system is what they used in the later versions of Topos, Coveted Mirror, Transylvania, and Crimson Crown. There's tutorials on how to play a Comprehend adventure, and I'll just give you a few highlights of each of the chapters. The interpreter components is up next there. I should mention that Antoine Vignow has spent an enormous amount of time working with the original source code, and we're currently making sure everything can compile properly because Otopos and Transylvania source code will be included along with source code for Comprehend. And Bill and I also need to write a new example game to provide a more comprehensive tutorial to help everybody understand Comprehend. The primary goal of this project and this book is to enable people to be able to create brand new Comprehend adventures, much like people are creating Infocom adventures these days. And here we've also got writing an adventure using Comprehend, which was written by Jeffrey J., who did so much of the internal documentation and creation of the Comprehend language. And there are many different components to Comprehend: map, file, objects, word lists, synonyms, logic. The other big part of a graphical Comprehend adventure is Graphics Magician Painter 2, which was their internal development tool supporting double high-res and ProDOS for the first time, and that's documented here. It's really exciting that it supports double high-res, and here you can see the normal palette and the double high-res palette. The third component of this book is a history section, and here we have an article that Mark wrote in 1987 for Apple's Outside Apple publication for developers, actually talking about Graphics Magician, this new version being available for developers. And I'm including an interview I did in 2019 with Mark that no one has seen or heard before, although eventually it will be available in podcast form along with some other interviews that I've done. Here we have the 13 surviving game screens developed for the unreleased Spies Adventures in Asia, and a list of all the programs that Penguin released for the Apple. And this is all coming later this year as soon as we can finish our work with the source code and example game. Also up and coming is a complete walkthrough book for Castle Dane, Moto Magician 6, which we'd previously released and unearthed, a really great telecommunications package for DOS 3.3 and ProDOS. Big Mac 3, an assembler for the Apple III by Glenn Breeden and John Mancino, along with Sorcerer 3, which is the disassembler. And who knew it, A.P.P.L.E actually released a Lisa product with some quick draw routines. And an update on our limited edition game boxes that I've designed. We have proofs in hand, and we're planning a Kickstarter style campaign. If you want to go to callapple.org/boxes, you can sign up and learn more. And I'll just show you some of the different boxes. Here's Space Intruder from Rafael Resenda, along with the manual that we previously released. Lordlings of Yore from John Baxley, a box. And the manual and game if you're not familiar with it. Witch Trial was especially fun to design a box for. It's a double res adventure game that came out in 2022 from Dan Henderson, Dr. Mark A. Golombek, and Roby Sherman. Really pretty. I had a lot of fun with the icons along the side, some of the different buildings and animals and all the different characters featured. I just love those little ducks. And Beyond Quest, Bill Martin's text-based RPG. And Bill's A.P.P.L.E programming language. He wanted to have a box, so I had some fun with it, with the clouds in the sky. And again, you can sign up at callapple.org/boxes. Our latest KansasFest PDF catalog is available for download on the Discord channel or on our website. And just two more things. First, I wanted to emphasize that we do partner with a number of authors for the books and the manuals and the apps, and any purchases you make directly support both the authors and us. As far as the book purchases, those are best done through Lulu. At the top of our page, we always have a memberships and specials link for the latest Lulu discount. And wait a minute, I'm feeling a disturbance in the force. Something that I have not felt since...
Greetings, KansasFest. It is I, Stephen Disbro from GS Plus Magazine, here to tell you that GS Plus Magazine will now be available exclusively from Call Apple. Yes, it's all coming together. Isn't that right, Durango? So, if you've lost your issues of GS Plus Magazine, or you just want them in a more convenient format for using with an emulator, one of those new fancy things, then Call Apple is where you should go. Stupid cat. I really don't have anything else to say. It's pretty straightforward. You go to Call Apple to get your GS Plus magazines. A portion of the proceeds, of course, will go to keeping Durango and the other mutant cats that I've been breeding here at the GS Plus Ranch for the past 30 years healthy and happy, and hungry, ready to unleash upon an unsuspecting world as climate change ravages everything. I warned you in an editorial at some point, I'm sure I did, but you didn't listen. Well, now it's too late. And we all must suffer together as these cats dig their claws into us while waiting for the next issue of GS Plus Magazine, which will never come. Seriously, it's going to be from Call Apple. Just buy it. Oh, well, okay. I trust that someone from Call Apple will blur that out because that is unfortunate. I hope to see you again soon, KansasFest. Yep. Okay. The small ones have the sharpest claws. That's what you don't think about when you adopt a cat from under a Durango. This is like the 15th take. Why couldn't you do that the first time? All right, well, good day.
Thanks, Diz. Like we announced last year, GS Plus is now being officially distributed by A.P.P.L.E. And we, at this time, have the very first 3 volumes available. That's the first 3 years, 18 issues available for digital purchase at the callapple.org/GS Plus site. Volumes 4 through 7 for the remaining years are in production for remastering. Also at this time, besides the first 3 magazines, we do have all 7 volumes of discs available, along with the PDF descriptions that go with each of those discs. And there you can see the cover from a Volume 2 issue, KansasFest special actually. And this particular issue, and they're all about 40 to 60 pages, but this particular issue features Burger Becky talking about MECC zombies, which apparently is a program where an Apple II owner is hunted down by a MECC zombie squad, which all sounds rather ominous. But on the happier side of things, there's peeking at System 6. Also an interview with Roger Wagner and a sample of how the descriptions look for each disc. Please stay tuned. We definitely have more fun coming, and don't forget to become a member. Apple II forever and ever.